What's going on, everybody? Chris is here, AstrologyUniverse here, back with another video or live stream. In this matter of fact, this one is going to be another astro talk, but the overall theme or topic is going to be patience and reward. Patience and reward. What does it mean to really wait for what is coming towards you or coming for you, but at the same time to realize that that patience has a guarantee that comes with it in the end that's going to work out in your favor if you're willing to go through it or not. When you start to really get into astrology and learn how astrology works, there are things that set people apart. There's the average person who doesn't know anything about astrology and may not believe it's real because of what the culture says, the media says. They may have some spookism in their brain about it, right? Then it comes the average person who gets into astrology. Now they start off, maybe they learn about their chart, they go online. Sometimes they might even get a book and finally decide to read it after all those years. They find an astrologer and that person becomes their favorite go-to source. Most people fall in these two categories right here. And then you have the other two ends of the spectrum, right? Out of this grand square that I'm talking about, the four major parts of people when it comes to astrology, the unenlightened, the dilettante, or the one who is more of the fan, the customer, things of that nature and intent. Then it comes the average astrologer, the person who's brand new to astrology. They find themselves in whatever school that they resonate with more in that regard. Maybe they started off with classical astrology. Sometimes in classical astrology, or depending on the classical astrologers that you talk to or go to, they don't even use the outer planets, such as Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Or they stumble onto Vedic methodology of study, where it's more of a Western approach. It has nothing to do with the correlation between the sun and the earth. It has to do between the moon and the stars, more or less, than the constellations. And that entire school has its own advanced system and way that they break things down, from Vinçotri to Germani to Sanatana Dharma, all these different variations and forms. I am sort of well versed when it comes to Vinçotri and the pure, raw, fundamental mathematics of how the chart is laid out in words of those nature and regards. And then you have the final school, which is modern astrology. And the modern astrology comes through with a sort of combination of new styles and using a little bit of both. But not everybody on the modern astrology page, go by the same note, go by the same words that they use. But most or average modern astrologers do now use the outer planets, as I mentioned earlier. And in the majority of astrologers that you'll run into, there's a problem that I see and is still relevant to this day. And it's not even just necessarily an astrology problem per se. It's really a people and their lack of understanding problem. People take pride in what they know. There's a relationship between your pride and your knowledge. Leo being your pride and knowledge being Aquarius. There's a relationship there and how it plays out. People pride themselves in what they know. Makes sense, right? But when you really come to astrology, here's something that everybody, when they're first starting off, will probably say or think in their head: it's too much. You're really trying to study the entire sky and the universe around you. It's too much. But if you get through the levels and stages and now you're an astrologer yourself, most people learn what they learn, figure out that it is working for them, and then from that point on, they don't feel a need to learn any other school of astrology. That in itself, I would say I wouldn't want for any astrologer to ever for a fact give up on their learning of astrology, or say the little pieces that they have, that should be enough for them for the entire career. Because you'll have astrologers doing the exact same thing for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They are no more better necessarily than they were in terms of skill level and things that they can do 20 years later, 30 years later than when they started. The only difference you could say is the amount of clients or charts that they have read over the course of those years. And this is where they can get an ego about it too. Because obviously, if you are now considering yourself a professional or in a profession, the amount of clients that you do get, that you do read, do add up per se. But you got to understand this: when it comes to astrology, it's the method that you use that really defines your skill, not the amount of people that you read. Because you have to keep in mind, your school, what you learn from, or when you're starting off with astrology, you're not going to learn astrology from one book. There is no one book that is going to teach you all of astrology. There's no one book, there's no one teacher, there is no one thing. The ultimate teacher of astrology is going to be your experiences. The ultimate teacher of astrology for you is going to be your experiences. What did you experience? Astrology is the study of the world around you, including you. Everything that happens in this universe around you, and everything that makes up you and who you are too. It's impossible for you to know it all, but that doesn't mean that you stop there. But it is better for a person to say, I will continue to practice and use what I know and retain that little piece of information for the rest of my life, than to forget and abandon it all at any point in time. Better it is for a person to do that. And for those people who do that, at least you have that to your name and to your craft. But it gets to a point too where that pride comes in. And as soon as somebody mentions a question, brings up a different school, whether you're a classical astrologer, Vedic astrologer, modern astrologer, where somebody brings up a different school from your own, and then you start to talk down or bash them, I cannot allow that. I can't allow that. Your classical astrologer, somebody brings up, or you're a classical astrologer, for instance, and somebody brings up a Vedic methodology, instead of saying, I don't know, or I'm not well versed in that science, you would say, that doesn't work for me. Vedic astrology doesn't work in general. It doesn't resonate with me anymore. These are all excuses to say, I haven't delved into that school yet. I don't really know. I haven't done deep enough. Most of these astrologers, no matter what school you come from, who will talk down on a different school for any reason, are some of the worst astrologers out there. Some of the most closed-minded astrologers out there. Because you have to be open-minded to do astrology. Aquarius, open-minded. Astrology, also the sign of Aquarius. You have to be open-minded to do astrology. You cannot close your mind at any point and say, I know everything that there is to know about doing astrology. There's this mentality, no matter where you go, with most modern astrologers, that you can become a master of astrology. I'm a master in my field. I've been doing it for X amount of years. Therefore, it makes me a master per se. Those astrologers are the most limited, if no one wants me to use the word worst. Those astrologers are, for a fact, the most limited in their craft. The most limited. Because they automatically assume, from the few skills that they have acquired from reading other people's charts alone, from books that other people have written alone, or just from anecdotal evidence that they haven't, or their own personal experiences that they haven't backed up by anything else, that there's no longer a need to learn, experiment, play. And you can apply this to multiple areas in life. Doctors do this, lawyers do this, technicians do this. Immediately and utterly talk down on somebody else who's a different craft than you. What is that? Pride. Pride. They gave up too early, or they called out too early. They clocked it out too early. But again, majority of astrologers live in some variation of this range. Some better than others. Some willing to be more open-minded and use things than others. But before even became an astrologer, I've always had this mindset that everything is connected. There is no real barrier distancing me from another man, this plant from another plant, this idea, this concept from a different idea, a different concept. It all exists in the same universe, right? We all are made of the same creation, the same creator, right? So how is there really a true difference if we all come from the same source, or we all share the same source? Most people don't think like that. So that comes to the fourth type of person here. The fourth type is the person who's the fanatic, the one that is obsessed, the one that you could say becomes the great astrologer, the great in their field, the great in the craft. They're the Michael Jordan, the Kobe Bryant of their craft, the Albert Einsteins, even Rocky Balboa's, Muhammad Ali's. Rocky Balboa being a movie star, but still one of the greatest who you would consider in terms of movie star. The final one is going to be the great, from the ignorant, the unenlightened, to the fan, the advocate, to the average in terms of skill in astrology, now to the fanatic, the great one. And this is where patience truly comes in. It takes time to develop that level of skill, and not everybody has it. Not everybody's going to be a great one. How can that be so? There are only, or let me say it this way, tens of thousands to hundreds of millions play basketball, football, soccer around the world. But the NBA only allows 400 people in the league at a time. Millions play the sport. Less than half a thousand will ever get to be in a league at any given point in time. It is literally impossible for everybody to be the best, because you can't have the best without having people in the middle and then having the people at the bottom. It is impossible to do that, because that's not how the way the world works and how it functions in its design, in its craft. When we break it down into talking about what is truly going to make or break somebody's level of astrology or their skill at anything, is how obsessed are you with it? How far are you willing to go to really get what you want? And if you're not willing to spend all day, every day, in your mind, obsessed with what you want, then you're not going to be the best. And it is okay to not be the best. We have this idea put in society's mind that you're gonna have to want to look up to all the movie stars, all the TV shows, all the experts in your field and craft, and you want to be just like them. Some people take it further than other people, but those are the people that's gonna make it in the first place. Is when you realize you can't do everything, and as you get older, that you start to realize, what is it that I really need to do? What can I do? What have I come here for? Because when it comes to the birth chart, when it comes to the astrology chart, you could already see what skills, what difficulties you're gonna have. For example, let's break it down a little bit. In Aries, Aries rising, Aries sun naturally have Capricorn in the 10th. Capricorn in the 10th is going to point to responsibilities, difficulties, landlord, bosses, anything having to do with a managerial position. You're naturally going to have at some point in your life some sort of job around that field. Some point, no matter where your Saturn is or things of that nature, you're going to be the one who has some sort of responsibility thrown on your shoulders at some point or another. Taurus rising, Taurus sun. What is going to be for you? You are the inventors, the scientists, the geniuses, the one who are putting the technological fields, the humanitarians. You did something for a humanitarian drive, been in some sort of scientific field, some sort of job in that research. The astrologers even. That's the Taurus sun, Taurus rising. Geminis, Gemini sun, Gemini rising. What do you have in your 10th house? You're going to be the ones who at some point in time deal with some sort of thing in your life having to do with your religion, your spirituality, dance, music, rhythm, things of that nature and intent too. These are all different facets and assets that you're going to come to when it comes to just one area of your life, when it comes to your career. Next is going to be Cancers, Cancer sun, Cancer rising. You're the type of person when it comes to your life, you're going to be the fighter. You're the one who's going to do stuff for yourself when it comes to things. The one, the only militant, some sort of job or feel in that regard, working with some sort of fire, cooking, anything that's going to be in that regard when it comes to that experience. You guys are going to be the military, the leaders, the one and only that come out when it does those things. When it comes to other placements in your chart, we have Leos now. Leo, what is going to be you at some point in time you're going to have some sort of career in when it comes to you. Leo, you're the ones who have Taurus in there. You're business oriented. Going to have a job or field regarding nature, planting, anything having to do, making money, any type of business or exchange type field. Even a restaurant owning, making food. These are all things that Leos get into. Next, we're going to have Virgos. Virgo sun, Virgo risings. You're going to be the ones who have Gemini in your 10th house. You're the intellectuals, the writers, the thinkers. You may don't be the ones who give readings, consultations, things of that nature and intent too when it comes to how you work. I'm going through all the zodiac signs just to give y'all examples of things you're going to deal with, but these are also going to point to the hardships in your life too that you face. Coming towards that, you're going to have Libras, Libra suns, Libra risings. You're going to have Cancer in the 10th. You're going to be the emotional ones. You're going to be the ones who are more of the careful ones, caretakers, nurturers, some sort of job or field in that regard, having to do with children, taking care of people, elderly, older, whatever the case may be, some sort of caretaking role. The home job, working in a hotel, protection, bodyguard, bouncers. You have thought about or have been in these fields at some point in time. Next is going to be Scorpios. Scorpios, you're going to have the role as the leader, not even the leader, the CEO, the person with a lot of heart, passion that you bring out into your work field, the one with the natural ability, the talented one. Could be potentially actors as well too, have roles in movies, things of that nature and intent too, because that is just how your chart lays out. Sagittarius, you're going to have in your 10th house, you're going to have Virgo. You're going to be a perfectionist, the ones who are always working like a commoner. You always have to put in the work, always going towards improvement, pushing yourself to do different things in different regards that you've never had before. Capricorns, you're going to have Libra in your 10th. That's going to mean that you guys are going to be the ones who deal with jobs or fields in government. Things having to do with party making, planning, being fair in all shapes, forms, or regards. Things of that nature and intent too. When it comes to your fairness in nature. Next is going to be Aquarius. And there are only two signs left. Aquarius, who are y'all going to be? Aquarius are going to have some sort of job or field in regards to being intense, powerful. You're going to be very big influencers in your life. You may have gotten into some difficulties in your life with mafioso job, job life, things of that nature, intent of some form or another. But those things happen from time to time. When it comes to birth and transformation, you guys are the real ones who change the world. Humanity is going to be that as well. Things having to do with sex work and things of that nature and involvement. Aquarius is as well for a career. When it comes towards Pisces, Pisces rising, Pisces sun, is going to come to you all having a career or a work-life experience at some point with being gurus, teachers. People know you for being travel agents, anything having to do with travel, education, work in the education space or something of that field of regard. These are all things that are going to regard to you. And it comes down to just like that. Where else or what other placements can tell you what have you come here to do? Anything regarding the sun or Saturn, more than less, are going to come to their regards in terms of their placement in the 10th cusp, in the sign of Capricorn, or whatever is going to be in that top part of your chart. Because the highest part of your chart is always going to be the 10th house. And that 10th house is going to point to it. Things of that nature. When it comes to that, you need to understand that when it comes towards what you do in your career, or if you're feeling like there's some area in your life right now that's tough, that is hard, that it didn't used to be this way, there are so many different ways to look at the same thing and give you a different perspective on it at the exact same time. Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, the ruler of the 10th, did you realize, off the top of my head, I can give you 3 different ways that you can see how Saturn is going to affect your chart. That you can see how Saturn is going to affect your chart. One of the most universal ways is to understand that every 7 years, you go through what they call a Saturn square. In your natal chart, you have Saturn somewhere. No matter what sign it is, Saturn is going to point to your difficulties, hardships, delays. It's going to point to where you have to deal with areas of responsibilities. But it also points to your reputation, what you're known for, what you're doing, your overall career. Every 7 years that those Saturn goes into a square, people know this to be true. If you haven't heard or know the science of it, your body regenerates and replaces every cell in it every 7 years. You basically transform into a new person every 7 years. From the time you're born to your age of 7, you're not the same person anymore. Every cell in that original infant's body has been gone. You sweat it out, spit, use the bathroom. Just living, your cells have grown, died, and multiplied and copied themselves. You are physically not the same person you were 7 years from that date. Go 7 years again. You go through your you go through child years to your adolescence. The process happens again. 14 to 21 happens again. Now you're a young adult. 14 to 28, now you're entering the prime of your life. We know this already. This is not something new. Astrology is not something that is some spookism. It correlates to how life actually is. It's everything that we already know and believe and made better because you really can control it and have favor over what's going to happen. Well, more or less not control, but an understanding of why you're going through the things you're going through in time. Because astrology can, for a fact, let you know when you will have opportunities to do great things. But I feel it is a better tool to understand why pain and heartbreak and when things happen to you or around you regarding yourself, family members, job situations, disasters that may happen to your home, business, relationship, children. You get to see in advance when things are gonna happen. You get to know in advance why things are going on and even how long it's going to last. If you become an astrologer and you truly take it seriously, you will be the smartest person in the room no matter where you go, no matter what field you step into. I don't care how many PhDs or lecture halls people have studied in or how famous they would be. The astrologer who's really trained is always going to be the smartest person in the room, unless there's another astrologer there already to outdo you in your work. That has come to be true because when you really study the universe, the Most High, there's no secret that anybody can keep from you, really. You come to realize that there are not 8 billion people on this planet. There are only 12 types of people on the face of this planet. There are only 12 types of people on this earth. Really only 12 types. And they all act the same way. You can read everybody like a book. Things that people thought were individual to them, that nobody else could copy, you can tell them right to their face. Secrets people would have taken to the grave, you could see just by looking at their chart and understanding their birthday, birth time, and astonish them without ever even really saying what it is. This is how the chart works. This is how life really goes in terms of what is done. When it comes towards doing things in that nature and intent too, Saturn in your chart is going to point towards all those hardships. Saturn never goes away in your chart. Am I saying that every 7 years is the only time you're going to face difficulty? No. Depending on how you read a chart, you have a Saturn every day. You could have a Saturn every 2 hours. And if you really want to be crazy with it, depending on how you read your chart, you can break a chart down to have a Saturn every 24 minutes if you really want it or need it. And Saturn is currently in Pisces. I think I've already done a Saturn in Pisces breakdown. But we're doing a quick rundown. If you are an Aries sun rising, Saturn in Pisces, that means you have Saturn in your 12th house. Difficulties right now with your belief system is going to be with dancing, rhythm, music, all these things that you used to do for fun. You may be going through a responsibility right now, having to deal with depression even. These might be a hard time because you may be going through depression right now because of the Saturn placement. If you're a Taurus, Saturn in Pisces is going to be in your 11th house. Difficulties with friends, you're going to have to cut off friends. You're going to be cut off from friends. Difficulties was going to be with dealing with people in general during this period in time. Gemini, you have Saturn in your 10th house. Gemini sun or Gemini rising, right? This is going to be and this is the thing too that people don't understand before I go on. Most people have different sun and rising signs, which means you're going through both of the energies at the same time in the way that they affect one another. Saturn in Gemini, or if you're a Gemini sun or Gemini rising, Saturn is going to be in your 10th house. Saturn is back in its natal placement for you, in its natal home, which could point towards a real refinement when it comes to your career, in your lifestyle, or it could really mean difficulties when it comes to your career, getting yourself off the feet. Maybe you took a blow to your overall reputation. You lost something that was very big or important to you during this period in time. I know it's hit me already, especially when it comes to my online account status. No, it hit me already. And these difficulties come and affect you. For you Cancers out there, it's going to be in your 9th house. It's going to affect your happiness, your ability to be happy, your ability to learn, to go through education. Is going to really restrict your travel. If you love to travel, it's going to be a very hard time for you to travel during this period. Leos is going to be in your 8th house. You may have losses in the family, difficulties with your health, difficulties with people that you hate. You may lose some family members. You may have a lot of loss in your life. This may be a lot of time. This may be a time in life where you may be feeling a lot. You may be on the verge of losing your own life during this transiting period in time as well. It's going to be difficult for you to transform. Changes happen during this time. Difficulty because of changes that happen. Major changes and transformations going on through this difficulty and period of time. Virgo suns, Virgo rising is going to be in your 7th house. Difficulty with your relationships. And this is going to be a big one for most people too, because Saturn works in very, very some mysterious ways in terms of how it really runs through. Saturn running through your 6th house. Saturn running through that 7th house for you is going to be that relationship status. Difficulty with your partner is going to be a time for you to really go through hardships when it comes to gaining a relationship. You may lose a relationship, or you may be struggling to keep a relationship functioning. When you go to Libras, that's going to be in your 6th house. Libras, when it comes to that 6th house for you, is going to deal with your overall, your routines, your health habits, things of that nature and intent too. Your work schedule, your work routine, things of that nature and intent too. You may lose out on a job, change jobs, things of that nature and intent too. Your health and habit, your workout schedule, difficulties keeping yourself in shape, or just keeping to a routine that would do well for you during this period of time might be a lot harder than it used to be. When it comes towards Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, is going to be in your 5th house. Your 5th house is going to point to your romantic life. Not your relationship per se, like your long-lasting relationship with a person, but your romantic life. It may be a difficult time for you to be as sexually active as you used to be. It's going to be a difficult time for you to be really yourself during this period of time, being in your personality, being in that mode or modality where your natural state of believing, a hard time with beliefs or doing things of that nature and intent to really being yourself, being mysterious. You may be very, very hard for you to do these things during this period in time. Coming towards, and Saturn lasts in each sign for about 2.5 years. 2.5 years it spins around in each sign, so you'll figure that out. When it comes towards Sagittarius, is going to be in your 4th house. Difficulty with the maternal side of your family, difficulty with your family in general, home difficulties and problems in the home. Maybe you may lose your home during this period of time. Difficulties with construction, things changing around your house, changing around your home during this period as well. When it comes to that and that nature and intent. When it comes towards your emotional state too, you may have to really repress your emotions. Difficulty with your with overflow of emotions. You may have to really repress yourself in terms of your care. Difficulty caring for people or having people care about you during this period of time, providing care. It could be that as well. When it comes towards Capricorn, it's going to be in your 3rd house. Difficulties with writing, speaking, really getting your message out, communicating, applying for jobs or things of that nature and intent to reading your intelligence. Difficulty really expressing or working on your ideas during this period in time. Coming to that nature and effect too. You may have problems with your central nervous system too. The message functioning of your brain may get damaged. Things of that nature in regards. Aquarius, this is going to be running through your 2nd house. Difficulty with income. Difficulty in income for you, Aquarius. And there's going to be difficulty. So it's going to be very, very difficult. When it comes to your business, when it comes to nature, planning, your restaurants, difficulty eating, hard time eating even. You may run into all of these things. Moral problems, difficulty with your morality. You may do things that people will not consider morally acceptable, and you may find some backlash for that. These are all things that could potentially happen. And finally, is going to be Pisces. Pisces, this is in your 1st house. Difficulty with yourself, being yourself, doing things for yourself. Pisces, you're going to find a lot of difficulties or hard times when it comes to truly signal back on. Okay, you're going to find a lot of difficulties truly being yourself, doing things for yourself during that thing in time. Hardships on you, breaking, maybe shattering yourself. You maybe really have to redefine yourself and just dealing with life being hard on yourself, being hard on yourself during this period in time. And everybody has to realize the Saturn square is going to be the highlight of your transfer of your hardships, and whatever lesson or how you ever come out of that hardship, for example, or per se, will truly set and define how the next 7 years of your life is going to go. Past that point, it's going to really define how you go about doing things for yourself. Past that point, are you going to be beaten down by the square? When you turn 7 years old, do you let that your parents now making you get up out of bed, make your own food, do your own showers? Are you going to let that beat you down for the next 7 years? When you turn 14, are you going to let the pressure of having to be responsible of getting yourself to school, making new friends, finding relationship partners bog you down? When you turn 21, are you going to let the difficulties of not realizing you're an adult now? You have to deal with social pressures of trying to get your own car, place, establishment, to have your own freedom. Are you going to let that bog you down? Going into your 30s, are you going to be in the prime of your life now? That Saturn return, are you going to let the difficulties of realizing that you have to get your life in order now? You can't do those things you were doing when you were a kid anymore. Your body doesn't necessarily work the same way anymore. You're realizing that you are a full-grown adult at this time. You are the prime. This is time for you to really get your life started. Get things moving, get things in motion if you haven't already. When it gets to that point. And to realize, as soon as Saturn leaves your square, it just keeps going on to the next sign and the next sign and the next sign over. But what is the most important thing through those transits is to realize, for example, if you have Saturn running through your fourth house, this is going to be a difficult time for you to deal with your family or your emotional state. You have to realize there are 11 other things in the chart that you potentially could be working on. There are 11 other things in the chart that you could potentially be working on. People tend to get bogged down. People tend to get bogged down by their income, their relationship status, and their career. Their income, anything having to do with their relationship, romantic life, sexual life, that area of life right there. And finally, their career, that has to do with their happiness, and their friend situation. Even if you were to break the chart down into threes, there are 12 signs, and people are only considered with a range of 3, 6, 9. First house, second house, third house, fifth house, sixth house, seventh house, or sixth house, seventh house, eighth house, which is really fifth, seventh, and eighth, as I can see, and ninth house, 10th house, and 11th house. That still leaves, out of 9, that still is an extra 3 things you could be working on. There's always something else to do, and this is what astrology helps you to realize. If that one area of life is down for you, there's going to be another area that's not going to be afflicted. So what, during this period of time, you're having difficulties with your relationship. You haven't been in a relationship for 5 years, 7 years, even longer than 7, 8, 9 years. Because how is that even possible? Well, Saturn goes through the 5th house in your chart. Let's say you have Saturn in your 5th house. If you live in that spectrum, because Saturn is going to go through every sign in your house, every single last zodiac sign, whatever zodiac sign you are, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, going on. Saturn will run through every single house for you if you live to be 30. If you live to be 30 years old, Saturn has run through every single house. It's run through every single house for you. You experience difficulties and traumas in every single last area of life. And once it hits 30, you reset, and now you do it back over again. The chart resets and you do it back over again. But this time you're 30, you're in your prime of your life. It's like a brand new start. The prime of your life, some people have a midlife crisis at 30. That's really when you really start in your life. You got a new, brand new, fresh start in your life. And this time you're fully in control from the beginning of it. You're fully in control in the beginning of it. But most people around the time, or let me say it this way. By the time most people turn 21 years of age, that Saturn should be somewhere around your 5th house. Difficulties when it comes towards relationships, 5th house. Difficulties coming towards your routine in your work, 6th house. And then difficulties coming into your 7th house, actual relationships. So if you had a partner throughout 2.5, 5, 7, 2.5, 5, 7.5 years, that's why you went through all those difficulties, because that's how Saturn hits those 3 areas of your life. Society is ruled by Libra. Libra is the 7th house. So why are most people obsessed with relationships? Because that's what society really tells you need to have. That is one of the staples of society, the relationships that people make to one another. So obviously, if you're coming into your 7th house and you don't have a relationship, you feel like there's something wrong with you. Society makes you feel as if it may not directly tell you, but you are peer pressured by the way society works to have everything really assume that there's something wrong with you, that those hardships are going to stay around you. That's not the case. That's not the case. It's the fact that people don't know that that is natural for everybody. No matter what sign you are, by the time Saturn crosses into your 5th, 6th, and 7th houses, you're going to be dealing with difficulties when it comes to those regards. This is why most, not all, but this is why most high school relationships or your fling in when you're young doesn't last to be your partner in life. That person you had a crush on or that you were dating for most of your, that in-between period of 14 to 21, that person you were in or those people you were with, for the most part, you don't see or you stay with all of them. This is why coming into your later half of your life, the dozens of true friends you had, 20, 30, 40 people that you used to talk to on a regular daily basis, anywhere from all of those people, by the time you hit your 30s or 40s, you probably have about 1 through 5 that you still talk to. As you get older, you just lose friends. And the few friends you have, you try to cherish and hold on to more. Some of you may lose all your friends. Look at it as a bright side. Now you can make new ones that really now mesh with your life and where you're going. People automatically sees the hard times and think there's a problem with themselves. People automatically think see the hard times and think it's gonna be forever. Some people, you know, depending on your sign, if you're a fire sign, for instance, you may power through it. You may power through the hard times. You may look at the hard times and be like, I can work through this. You may look at the hard times and be like, I can work through this. Because fire signs excel when it comes to their material world, second house, sixth house, and 10th house in hard times. Aries are known for their career. Leos are known for their business. Taurus, earth sign. Capricorn, earth sign. Sagittarius are known for their work. Also earth sign. So really fire signs, but not only fire signs, but naturally fire signs by design of the universal chart can tend to work through these hard times the best. But depending on the planets and where they sit in your chart, you can be, for example, a water sign. But if you have your fire sign placements in the second, sixth, or 10th house, it may not be as bad for you. Or you may act just like a fire sign would and be able to power through those hard times. Or make them your bitch, per se. And it's because society as a whole, especially in Western culture, does not fully yet understand the grasp and need for astrology, that we don't realize that when those areas and periods of our life are hit with the hardships, that we can go to a different area in our life that are not being affected right now and focus on that. Your job, career, or field isn't doing too well for you right now. Focus on your writing, learn a new language, communicate more, get some fresh air. Your job field not working for you, your career not working for you, money is going to be an issue. Work on your spirituality. Start listening to more music. Start making more music. You know? Take up a sport. Take up some action. Do something physical. You know? Start something that you've always wanted to start it before in life. When the hard times come hit you in one area in life, all that means is you are now open to go do something else in another area. Because you have to wait it out anyways. You have to wait it out anyways. Even me as an astrologer, when I started this, I thought I had a chip on my shoulder. Oh, I'm different from all these other astrologers. I can see that they're all lacking in certain areas because they're so closed-minded. I'm such an open-minded person. I'm going to learn every single school of astrology I can learn because I can make time for it. Being a Virgo rising, I have Gemini in the 10th. Gemini in the 10th is the same thing as Aquarius in the 10th. Anything you could say about Gemini, you could say about the sign of Aquarius. As I've broken it down, and I'll break it down again. Aquarius has Aries is their third house. Let's count. Aquarius 1, Pisces 2, Aries 3. Right? 3. Aries 1. No. Aquarius 1, Pisces 2, Aries 3. Gemini is the natural ruler of the third house. Gemini has Aries in the 11th. So let's go backwards and make it easier. Gemini is 1. There's only 12 signs. Gemini is 1. So Taurus becomes the sign that comes before would be 12. And the sign that comes before Taurus is Aries. And where does Aries sit? In the 11th place. So, and guess what? Aquarius naturally rules the 11th. So Aquarius has the start of the zodiac, Aries, in the 3rd place, and Gemini has the start of the zodiac, Aries, in the 11th place. And it follows this pattern going throughout. Aquarius has Taurus. Aquarius has Taurus, right? In its 4th. Just count. Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus. It has Taurus in its 4th. Gemini has Taurus in its 11th. No. Let's see. What is Gemini? Yep, Taurus has Taurus in its 12th. Taurus in its 12th. The relationship is there. And to make it easier to read too, wherever Aries is in a chart, that is the key point for you to start looking. That's the key point for you to start looking. Gemini in the 10th is the same thing as Aquarius in the 10th. Aquarius rules astrology. Gemini can also be used as readings. Gemini is the reader, the consultant. What do people who learn astrology do? Don't they use it for readings? What do people who read the chart do? Aren't they scientists? Aren't they really astrologers? I can't say for a fact if I really chose astrology. Life chose me. Life chose and created me. And it showed me that I am a part of the and it showed me that I was really here, put here this time to learn the astrology. Now, I could have been any type of Gemini. I could have been any type of Gemini. I could have been a librarian. I could have been a famous book author. Technically, I could still be those things. But the one thing that jumped out to me in terms of when you're trying to find who you are, your fate, your destiny, things that you're going to land on, astrology is the one that jumped out for me. I was a marketer at one point, marketing. The marketing didn't work out for me. Marketing is also Gemini. But I can't be mad or tell everybody, oh, if you're a Gemini, you're gonna be, or if you're a Virgo rising, you're gonna be an astrologer. I can't say that per se. I can't say that per se. But you will land in some sort of field that has to do with that communication, spreading of messages. What's a prophet? The prophet is somebody who interprets the message. An astrologer is someone who sees what the message is in the first place. That's the difference. I can't say I'm a prophet because I've learned how to predict. But I can say because I can predict, I do have a message to say or bring to because of it. So really, find something else that you want to do during this period in time when things don't necessarily go your way. And if for some reason you're still working on something and it's not going your way, you're not going to overdo the chart, but you can realize that the hard times won't last forever. You're still looking for that relationship, but you're in your 7th house. If you're not in one, don't really worry about getting one. And if you end up getting in one, it's going to be a headache, beyond a headache for you to even try to keep it. Keep working on building yourself, refining yourself through the hardships. Once you work on refining yourself through the hardships, by the time Saturn has moved far enough away enough houses away from that area of your life that you are now currently dealing with, you are more than ready to get it. Here's an analogy. Somebody may pray for something. When you pray for something, it's like you're putting in a request. Some people say when they pray for something, they get it 5 minutes from now. They just get it. Other people, when they pray for something, it may take you 10 years. What's the thing they have in common? There's some time between when you prayed for the thing, when you ask for the thing, and when it comes to you. Not every single last thing that you pray for, you're going to get instantaneously. And not everything that you pray for that you think is going to take 55 years, it really may happen within the week, the month, even the day. Astrology is the way for you to see, I could have an opportunity for that thing I want to happen today, or I know in the next couple of years, if I play my cards right, I'm going to be beyond prepared to get what I need from it. Because even when it comes to me, like I was saying earlier, when it comes to the astrology, I thought I could learn it all and be a master of it myself. I've come to the understanding that you will always be in kindergarten when it comes to learning the science. This is the entire universe that you're talking about. I can't do everything at once. This is the entire universe and how it works, from understanding how time works, the mechanics of a day, how the earth turns, how it rotates, how it spins, to people, their lives, their wants, their needs, their desires, their injuries, society, nature, animals, relationships. Even today, I gave myself 3 weeks to learn something. I'm not gonna fully master it in 3 weeks, and I've come to understand that. I just figured out how to do something new. I was taught how to do something new, and I put in a little bit of time and energy every single day. I wish I could work hard 24/7 in what I need, but I have Neptune, which is laziness, in my 6th house. When it comes to work, I can be lazy. I can be lazy. It doesn't mean I don't get the work done. Don't because you have transits, just because you were born with a planet in a particular sign, does not mean you will be that way your entire life. You know why that's not the case? It's not your birthday anymore. Wherever the planets were in the sky on the day you were born, guess what? They kept moving just like you did. They kept growing and changing just like you did. It is 2023 right now. Sorry, I don't remember the day off the top of my head. In June. Your chart keeps on moving and changing just like you do. Today is a brand new day, and the energies that held you down yesterday are not going to be the same energies that are going to hold you down today. Things that were hard for you in the past are now easier to do. And things that you said or you thought you needed to do before, you don't even have to do them anymore. It is that understanding, it is that level of care that goes into really doing and giving a beautiful and excellent chart to help a people or to help the average person understand. That's what I've come here to do, because I have to let everybody know the chart affects everybody the same way. We're all humans. We all have our ups, our downs, our triumphs, our shortcomings. Me included. You can learn the chart too. That don't mean you get to escape it. When the hard times come, they come. But when the good times come too, you can't ignore them. When good times or happy times are coming your way, when you have a Jupiter, a Venus coming your way, you can't stop it. You can't stop the good times. Be wary of the hard times, but you can't stop the good times either. That is the beauty of this world and this universe that we live in. And it's really going to empower us the more that society comes to this understanding that we have a need for astrology. We have a need to better understand ourselves. Because the more you understand yourself, the more you understand how life works around you. That's for the needs. And for everybody who didn't know, on my channel, on my page, I let everybody know that currently Pluto is no longer in Aquarius. It is retrograded back into Capricorn. And it's going to be there until January 20th of 2024. What happened in this short period of time that Jupiter entered into Aquarius? I said Jupiter, Pluto. Pluto is birth. It is transformation. It is change. What is Aquarius? Revolution. It is rebellion. In this short period of time that Pluto was in Aquarius, we got a glimpse into what the next 20 years holds for us. What happened in this short 6-week period of time? In France, they're having a pension reform strike. That strike took place during Pluto when it was in Aquarius. The people trying to change when it comes to humanity or society, their view on their pay. We're gonna see so many more events like that happening over the course of these next 20 years. And that's the beauty when you finally get to really see astrology and you see things happening in real life. You're like, whoa, that's crazy. I predicted that. It's really exciting when you first get into it. And I've made multiple videos on my channel talking about these things, and to see it actually come to fruition is a great thing for me too. Pluto going back into Capricorn is going to be change and reformation when it comes to businesses and things of that nature. And just recently, Reddit, the website, online website Reddit, people have been going on strike on Reddit. Reddit is an online business and it's trying to change up their services. And people started to rebel on that too. That's because Pluto went back into Capricorn, because they made business Capricorn changes Pluto. As soon as Pluto comes back into Capricorn, and for these next 6 to 8 months, we're going to be seeing more energy or life how it really was, how it really has been for these past 5-15 years. The energy is going to come back to feeling the same. But don't get too wrapped up in this energy to think things are going to go back exactly the way they were before March of 2023. Because it's only going to last for a couple months, and then we're going to fully go into that revolutionary new world energy with Pluto in Aquarius. And besides that, remember, patience with everything that you come to do. No matter what hard times come, Saturn, in your life, know that once something happens, there are other areas in your life that become open. Every time a door closes, Saturn, one can open to you. Jupiter. Difficulties right now in any part of your life, your health, relationship status, career, family situation, these are all individual areas in your life. Start that new book you wanted. Finally work on that spirituality, that music, that piece of music you wanted to write. What is that one thing or things that you know you've never had time to do, that you've always wanted to do? When you're facing a hardship in an area in your life, this is the best time for you to finally start working on those things. Not to force yourself. If something's not going your way, don't force it. Don't force the wave to go in your direction. Don't fight the current. If you can tell something is not going your way right here, right now, just wait on it. wait on it, and find other things you wanted to do. We are so complex as beings that we have hundreds of things that we've always wanted to do and could do at any given moment in time. And when certain doors close for you, go towards the other ones. What do you have to lose? You only have time to gain in these areas. And by the time you start to excel in those new things that you've been pursuing, that you wanted to do for so long, guess what? By the time you've started to excel in those things, those other areas in your life that you're complaining about currently, now those doors are open. Because this is a universal truth. The more time and energy you spend preparing yourself, taking care of yourself, refining yourself, everything you know you need to work on when it comes to yourself, the world in general is just going to respond to you. It's going to open up to you the more you put in that time and energy. Try not to sit and dwell too long on things you cannot afford and change, because remember, the universe is trying to teach you a lesson. The universe has something in store for you. Sometimes you may not even realize when something bad is happening to you, that's because it's somebody else's time to eat. Things aren't going necessarily your way, maybe something else is happening. A farmer may want it to rain today. A farmer would love for it to rain today to water all of their crops and their plants. But it's a sunny day today. What happened? The farmer is sad, but the farmer doesn't realize right across the street there were kids playing a basketball game that day. They had a soccer game. The kids needed that day to be sunny or shining for them to play their game. And as soon as the day is over, the farmer finds something else to do. The farmer went to go read a book. The farmer went on a hike. The farmer started to build in their shed. Before they knew it, the game's over. A day or two has passed. The rain has finally come. We're all connected in this life and in this sphere. Don't ever try to separate. We all come from one source. We all come from one energy. We all come from this universe. We all are affected by this universe and what happens in it. Just come to realize when things aren't necessarily going your way, that's because it's going its way for somebody else. It's fair. The world is fair that way. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not going to come back and affect you. This is the concept of karma. 12th house, Pisces, that's the concept of karma. Where you put in work, you put in energy, you sit on it, you wait on it. And depending on what you did, good or bad, it's always going to come back to you. It's always going to come back to you. So try not to stress. If you can't really tell what's going on, come to understand. Find your local astrologer, right? Come get a reading. See what's going on for you in this moment. And get some advice on what you should be or what you could be working on during this period of time. Never let whatever is currently the main focus on your mind bog you down. That is the process of life that we go through. That is a process of change that goes to really define who you are. But that was the reading for today. It was a good day. I needed this reading too. Today I was letting my problems bog me down with career, this channel, and even my relationship status, being a Gemini. As a Virgo sun, I'm always going to keep it real with you. Now Virgo rising, I'm going to keep it real with you because astrology affects us all. But it's been Chris is here, 100 Agency. Catch y'all next time.